One of the strongest tools available to you is the Map tool in Matrix, but are you using it to its fullest ability? Today, we're going to explore the functions of the map in Matrix. To start, I'm going to click on Search Residential Quick, and I'm going to click on the map here. Now, this is going to show me residential listings, but that's what we get the most questions about. So just know that this will work for any of the other property types. So if you're wanting to use the map to search for commercial listings, leases, etc., you can totally do that as well. I'm going to go ahead and click on my map. And when I first open up my map, you're going to see that there are these blue circles with numbers on them. Since I haven't entered any search criteria to narrow down my listings, the map is currently showing me all of the available listings. These numbers tell me how many listings are in one area, so there would be too many to show them individually. So for example, this area right here has 115 listings. Down here we have 69. Over here we have 286, and so on and so forth. If I zoom in on the map, and I can do that by clicking the plus or minus sign, or by scrolling forward with my mouse, you'll see that these circles and the numbers change. So this is an interactive map that is going to change and follow you as you move around on the map. So now there are 86 listings in this area here, there are 47 here, 121 over here. You get the idea. I'm going to go ahead and zoom in on my map one more time. And when I do this, you'll see that now I'm seeing those individual listings. You see these little green and yellow houses that are on the map, and those denote individual listings. If I scroll my mouse over one of those houses, you'll see that it gives me some very basic home facts. So the price, the beds and baths. If I click on one of these green houses, it will open up and show me some basic facts about this and a little card on the map. So for example, this one we see the address, and then we get that first property photo from the listing. We get our owner, MLS number, MLS status, price. I can scroll down just a little bit, and then I see square footage, beds, and baths. So just kind of some basic home facts here. Down here, I can click on Listing if I want to open up the full MLS listing, or I can click on Tax and it will open up the tax records for this property. I can click on this little X here to exit out of that card and take me back to my map. Okay, so let's talk about some of the specifics of things that we can do here on the map. But first, what I want to do is go to my criteria and kind of narrow things down a bit, because right now there are a bunch of different listings on the map and it can get a little bit busy and hard to see what you're doing. So I'm going to go to criteria, this tab right here. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to put $10 million plus in my price here. You'll see that it might look like I put in $10,000 plus, but I have this little checkbox checked right here, which fills in those last 3 zeros for me. I'm also just looking at active and coming soon over here on my statuses. So now I'm going to go back to my map and we'll take a look. You'll see when I do that this takes down the number of listings on my map drastically. I'm going to zoom in just a little bit for you. So now we can kind of see what we're doing without there being so many different listings all over the map. Okay, so up here at the top are going to be all of your map tools that you can use. And we're going to go over each one of these. This first one here is INRIX DriveTime. INRIX DriveTime collects millions of data points from street traffic to provide you with accurate and up-to-date information on how long it takes to drive to or from a location. To use it, you're just going to click on that little INRIX DriveTime icon, and it'll open up this box. At the very top here, you'll enter the address or the name of the place that you'd like to go. You'll then select whether you want to drive to here or drive from here. You'll select the time that you'd like to arrive. Then you'll select the amount of time that you would like to be driving. And we can even get so specific as to denote which day of the week we're working with. So for example, up here in this top box, I am going to enter in a location. I'm going to enter in Cook's Children's Hospital. And you'll see I'm just typing in Cook's Children's Hospital. I'm not even putting in the specific address here. Okay. I'm going to click enter. And you'll see that it located that address for me. So this is a very nice, smart system. And I have a friend who is a nurse that works at this hospital. So we're going to use her as an example today. So we're going to say that she wants to drive to here. She wants to drive to the hospital. And she wants to arrive there at 7 a.m. So I'm going to pick 7 a.m. from my drop-down menu here. And she wants to drive maybe 20 minutes to work every day or less. So I'm going to pick 20 minutes. And then I could pick a specific day of the week even. I'm just going to keep it on Monday for now though. Then I'm going to click on add. And watch what happens whenever I click on that add button. It leaves this kind of funky looking shape on my map here. And I'll zoom in and kind of bring you over a bit. So this is telling me that everything within this blue boundary line here is within 20 minutes driving distance of this red center point, and that red center point is the address or that location that we put in. Okay. So an example of how you could use this feature, if you have a client who would like to be within 15 minutes at work, or maybe 20 minutes of their sister's house, school, church, whatever it might be, INRIX will give you a realistic drive time to or from that point, so you can find listings that are in that area. When I scroll my mouse over this little red dot in the middle, I can click on Change Drive Time Info if I want to change it. So I can click on Change. And let's say that my friend, the nurse, wants to change that drive time down to 10 minutes. She doesn't want to be driving quite so long to get to work every day. So we can click on 10 minutes. I can click on Update. And you'll see that it changes that shape on the map. So now everything inside this blue area is going to be within 10 minutes driving distance of our center location. I can come here and click on that little red dot in the middle, and I can do delete shape right there, and it will remove that shape off of the map for me. Our next tool over from that is going to be draw radius. This tool allows you to click and drag a radius from a fixed point on the map. It will then draw a circle with your selected radius. Okay, so I'm going to click on that one, and I'm going to come down here to my map. I'm going to click wherever I want my center point to be, and I'm going to hold down my mouse as I drag out. Okay, there we go. And so you'll see that anything within this blue area is going to be about 2 miles away from my center point there. And if I roll over that center point, it shows me exactly 2.06 miles is how big I made that circle. An example for how to use this feature is if you have a client that says they want to live within 2 miles of their child's school, 5 miles of a police station, something like that. You can also use it backwards. So if I click on this little red dot in the middle, and I click on exclude this shape, right there, you'll see that it turns red. So this is going to not show me any listings within that red circle. So it'll show me listings anywhere else outside of that circle, but I'm not going to see any listings in that circle. So this could be good if you have a client who does not want to live within 3 miles of the dump or a sewage treatment plant, something like that. So you could use it either way. I can click on that little red dot in the middle. I can always change it back to include this shape, or I can do delete shape to get rid of it. For this next one, I'm going to scroll over to where we've got some listings. I'm going to go over here to Dallas. And our next one over from Radius is going to be Draw Rectangle. So I'm going to click on that one. This one works pretty similarly to the circle tool. So I'm going to click and then drag out on my map, and it's going to draw a rectangle. Similar to the radius tool, it will only show you listings that are inside of that rectangle that you've drawn on the map. It also works backwards, so I can click on that little red dot and I can do exclude this shape. So it will not show me any listings in that area, and it will just show me listings that are outside of that area. Okay. So I'll go ahead and include that shape just to show you that one shows me just listings that are inside that area. And I'll go ahead and delete that one off the map. Our next tool over from that is going to be Draw Polygon. Similar to the other two, this allows you to draw a polygon over the map. However, you can get a little bit more precise with your area than if you would just use a rectangle or a circle. So I'm going to click on Draw Polygon. I'll come down here to my map. And the way that this one works is we'll click to have our first anchor point, and then I'm going to drag my mouse out and I'm going to click again. I'm going to drag my mouse, click, drag my mouse, click, drag, click, drag, click. And then I just need to make sure to connect that last point up to where I started to finish out my shape. Okay, so again, this one you can be a little bit more precise and make it exactly what you want it to be. An example of when to use this is if you have a client who wants to live in maybe a specific neighborhood or on a specific side of the highway, and they don't want to see listings that are on the other side. Again, this one works that same way where I could exclude that shape or delete that shape. Now I'm going to leave that one on the map just for now, and we're going to go over to our next one, which is Freehand Polygon Shape. So this one is going to be your most customizable boundary tool. You can draw specifically where you would like that boundary to be. So for example, I'm going to click on Freehand Polygon. I'm going to come down to my map, and here I'm going to click and hold down my mouse and just draw on the map. So I can do zigzags, I can do curves, I can do whatever I want, as long as I connect it back to my original point there. This is also another example that you can have multiple shapes on the map at one time. So if I have a client who wants to live over here, but they also want to live in this kind of funny specific area, I can have both of those on my map at one time. You'll see when I scroll over my little red dot, this time I have another option. I have Include Intersection Only. The way that one works is if I have a couple of shapes on the map, I can choose for the map to show me just where those shapes intersect. So maybe if you have a client that is a husband and wife, and the husband wants to live in one area, the wife wants to live in another, you can put on multiple shapes on the map and then just show the intersection only. So where do both of those shapes meet that's going to make everybody happy? Okay. Our next one over here looks like a little eraser. Our next tool is going to be Clear All Shapes. So when I click on that one, you'll see that it just clears everything off of the map for me, and I'm back to my kind of blank map. Our next tool over from that is Layers. I think it kind of looks like 3 little sheets of paper. And these are going to layer specific things over the top of our map. So right here, our first one is going to be boundaries. And there are different boundaries that I can layer over the top of the map. So for example, if I wanted to see the county lines, I can check that box next to county. And I'll zoom out just a little bit so you can see. So that's giving me the county lines for where Dallas, Tarrant, Rockwall, etc. are. Now you'll see that some of these are red and I can't click on them. That is because I need to zoom in. It's telling me that up top. Zoom in a bit. So for example, I'm going to click on my little plus sign there to zoom in a bit. And I'm going to zoom in one more. I'm going to go in just a little bit more. And now you'll see that there are some other options available to me. So another really popular one would be zip. That'll be your zip codes. You'll see it's going to do a boundary line around that zip code and then have the zip code there in the middle. We could also do unified school district. That's another popular one that I hear people use. I'll zoom out a bit for that one. So this is going to layer over the top of the map where your different school districts are. So we have Grapevine Colleyville ISD is over here. We've got Richardson ISD is there. Dallas ISD is right here. You get the idea. Okay. Another one, gonna uncheck that. Another popular one here is areas. Okay. So these are going to be the MLS areas. Okay. One thing to note with our MLS areas, the MLS areas were created with the help of MapsCo. Now, MapsCo is a company that is no longer in business, which unfortunately means that we are unable to edit or change these MLS areas anymore. So here in our more populated areas in the city, we have pretty small specific areas that you'll see as we go out further over here to Justin, Ponder, Crum, those kind of areas. They're not as specific. They're bigger areas. They're not up to date. Things have changed a little bit and grown in those areas. So Netris is going to be phasing out these MLS areas by the end of this year. Right now it is August of 2021, and they are trying to phase out those areas by the end of this year. So by January 2022, these areas are going to go away. So I wouldn't rely on them too heavily right now. But if there are those of you who still use these areas and love them, if you want to keep these areas and remember where they are, what you can do is use your other tools up here at the top. So for example, I could use freehand polygon. And let's say that I work in area 11 a lot. I could select my polygon, come down here on my map, and I can draw a boundary line around area 11 right here. Okay. And then what I could do is I could come down here to the bottom where I've got save, and I could save that as a saved search. So I could come down here and I could click on new saved search. I could title this one area 11. And what that would do is it would save that specific area that I have outlined there on my map as area 11, and I could come back to it. So you'll see it's saving the latitude and longitude on my map that I've circled. So that's one thing that you could do if you still want to use those areas, even though they are being phased out. Now I'm just going to cancel and go back to my map. And there you go, you see it saved that little area. So I'm going to go ahead and remove that one just for now. We're going to take a look at some more of our layers. Okay, another one that I want to show you guys, I'm going to zoom in just a little bit. One more time. Okay, is flood zones. Here we go, flood zones. Right there. So flood zones, this information does come from FEMA, and it's going to show you your flood zones. So for example, here we've got a little key at the bottom. All of the orange areas are going to be outside of a flood zone hazard area. And anything in these purple or yellow areas is going to be either a 100-year floodplain or a 500-year floodplain. So that's some useful information to have as well. Okay, all kinds of fun stuff here in your boundaries. I'm going to go down to our next one here, which is MLS status. And MLS status has all these little pins for different MLS statuses. So for example, I'm going to check this one here for active. And you'll see that it put these little green pins all over the map right here where there are active MLS listings. Now, I told the system earlier under my criteria that I just wanted to see $10 million properties or more. So when I use the MLS status here, I'm telling it, I don't care about any of the other search criteria, I just want to see the actives. And it works that way for all of the statuses. So I've got leased, pending, sold, temp off market, etc. They're all going to put these little pins on the map for you. The next one below that is tax data. This one is going to show you your tax sales. It's going to have these little red pins put on the map. There they are. So that's going to be tax sales. And if I click on that one, you'll see that it shows me this was a condo that was last sold in 2019 right there. Okay. And then we can also see non-MLS sales. So non-MLS sales would be any ones that show a tax deed change that were not in the MLS. So that would be our tax data. Our next one down below that is going to be parcel characteristics. Now, a note with parcel characteristics is that it's going to be specific to the parcel. So I'm actually going to zoom in on this little neighborhood down here. And I get in really close where I can see all of the different little houses here. I'm going to do parcel characteristics. And this time I'm going to click on bed/bath right there. And that is going to put these numbers over each specific house. And it's telling me this is a 4-bed, 5-bath, 4-bed, 6-bath, 4-bed, 4-bath. This one's a 3-bed, 5-bath, etc., etc. I can also do building area. So that is going to tell me the full square footage for those homes, just kind of layered over the top. Okay, and some of them, if you don't see, you might just have to zoom in a little bit. For those parcel characteristics, you have to be really tight in there. I could also do owner name. So that's going to put the owner name over the top. Or I could do address. Okay. So that's our parcel characteristics. Our next one down below that is going to be trends. So trends is going to do certain trends over the map. And for this one, I actually am going to zoom out a bunch. So bear with me here. I'm going to zoom out just a bit so we can see this one. Okay. Alrighty, so this is going to be market trends for a certain area. So for example, if I click on median sale price, you'll see I'm going to scroll out just a little bit so we can see that. It's going to put over the top of my map different colors for different sales prices. So this one I think you have to be zoomed really high up to see. But in this area where it's blue, your sales price is going to be about 200 to 300,000. With this light green area, it's going to be 300 to 400,000. And so you'll just use this map, the map and the key down here at the bottom. So that's our median sales price. We also have one for sales activity. So if you zoom out on this one, all of these red sections are going to be areas that have a whole lot of sales activity. They have a lot going on. Orange is going to be a little bit less than that. Our yellow is still going to be pretty good, but less than that. And then any of these blue areas are going to be areas that don't have a lot of sales activity. So you'll see when I get out to those smaller cities like Crum and Ponder, your sales activity does go down just a little bit. So that gives you an idea of how trends works. It's going to show you different market trends that are layered over the map. And then our last one here is going to be points of interest. Points of interest is going to show you just that. Areas that you might be interested in seeing. So things like arts and entertainment, banking, education, fire and police departments. And you'll see for that one, it does want you to zoom in quite a bit. So I am going to find an area on the map and I'm just going to zoom in really close. Do my points of interest. Oh, wants me to be in further than that. There we go. So now I can select things like fire and police departments, food and dining, gas stations, banking. And what that's going to do is it's going to put little pins all over the map for those points of interest. And this one does take it just a little bit of time to update, so it might take it just a second to layer those different pins over the map, but eventually they will show up on there. Okay, so that is our points of interest. I'm going to uncheck those. Okay, and then our last one up here at the top is going to be recenter. The recenter button will allow you to recenter the map if you've been searching in different areas or if you get lost. So for example, in today's class, I've been kind of jumping around today. So I'm going to click on recenter, and it's going to take me back to the center of my map. Okay. Alrighty, you can set your center by clicking on this gear over here in that top right-hand corner. Okay, and you click on that, and you click on Set This Map View as my starting default. That's telling the system, I want this to be my starting default when I first come into the map and take a look at everything. Couple of more things to notice here. We also have this Jump to Address box right here. Jump to Address will allow you to type in an address and jump directly to that point on the map. Okay, so let's put in, I'm just going to put in an address here and click Enter. And there you go. It jumped me directly to this address on the map. One way that you could use this tool is if you have a client who wants to live near a certain place. So you could jump to that certain location on your map, and then from there you can use your other tools to draw a radius around that point, draw a rectangle, so on and so forth. Okay. One more thing is over here in our kind of top left-hand corner, you'll see that we have these different checks. So the check marks and the check pins, these check marks correspond to listings on your results list. So for example, I'm going to go far out here and I'm going to go over to where we have some listings. Okay. And what I can do is I can click on this little check right here. And I can go over and click on one of these, and you'll see that it changes that to a check mark. And what that does is when I go over to my results list, this is now going to be a checked listing. What I'm going to do is I'm going to do that for just a couple of these, just to show you. Now, when I go over to my results, you'll see that those listings are checked. So this will be good if you are taking a look at your map, you find a few listings that you're interested in, you can come over here and see which ones you have checked that you want to take a further look at. Once you've got them checked, you can also come down to your Actions toolbar down here. You can email those, print those out. You could save those as a saved search or an auto email. So there's a bunch of ways that you can use those check marks. Alrighty, so I'm going back to our map here. Just a couple last things I want to show you guys. Over here in our top left-hand corner, we do have Map. And when I click on that, I can change to Satellite. And Satellite is going to show me a satellite view of the map. So it's going to show me that satellite view. Okay. I can also click on Map, which will take me back to that previous view. I can check this box for terrain, and terrain is going to kind of color on the map any sort of terrain, so any hills, mountains, valleys, that kind of thing. Here in the city, we don't have very much of that, but as we get further over towards Mineral Wells, Palo Pinto, you can see that there's a few more hilly areas, places like that over there. Alrighty, I'm going to change that one back. And that is all of your map functions here in Matrix. I hope that you learned something new today.